Hi, sir. My question is not to a specific, anyone can take you. It basically revolves around a statement said to me by one of my trainers at a previous organization. The statement is that finance is not complex, finance people are. So, what are your views on that, and do you dedicate the crisis to those things? Thank you.
When was this statement made? Before the crisis or after the crisis?
It was in 2008, sir.
Yeah, after the crisis. I think one of the things which came to the forefront of discussion was the salaries of the finance professionals and the bonuses they got. Obviously, some numbers were obscene, running into hundreds of millions, and there have been examples of it running into billions. It raises a lot of questions about governance. At the end of the day, they hide behind the fact, or as the industry all hid behind the fact that at the end of the day, it is approved by the board who represents the shareholders. But did the boards play their role during the crisis? I think not. In the same way regulators didn't play, in the same way governments didn't play their role in terms of pursuing proper policies or proper stringent regulations. Boards also did not play. And among all these three players, there was one common thought process from which they used to take comfort, was that markets are efficient and it's a free market. But as we discussed in the first assessment, government is there pursuing subprime housing projects with trillions of dollars pumped into it, and there is an interaction between government agencies and a profit-seeking private industries. It doesn't look like a free market. There is somebody pumping in money, allocating money, which is not rational. A free market wouldn't have allocated trillions of dollars to subprime. It is somebody intentionally pumping. That's why private sector joined in. And regulators, though they can claim to be independent, I think the mandate is always driven by the government. So it was, the government had an agenda, regulator was definitely playing into it. It was definitely not a free market. And the final end product of the crisis was played out by the financial sector, who also binged on this, and people took advantage of lax boards. Like lot of investment banks, more than 50% people who were in the board did not have any experience in finance. There are a lot of status symbol, because of the status symbol, because of political connection, because of high posts they are held in. Even investigative agencies in the US, they were in the board who didn't have any clue about finance. Because of which some financial, or most of the financial professionals took advantage of that and made a lot of money. I would put it in another way. All of us definitely have friends who have worked in US financial industry during that time. Personally, whom we know, are they bad people in their personal life? Are they crooks in their professional life? Do they try to cheat others in their personal life? Do they try to snatch your money or try to give you wrong advice intentionally in your personal life? No, they are not. They are not bad people. The system was such that everybody thought that is the right thing, and the stock prices were going up. Shareholders were saying it's the right thing. Boards were relaxed because everything is going on fine. Even just to quote Greenspan, he once said, "It's not the job of the Fed to prevent any asset price bubble, but if anything goes bust, we will be there to collect the pieces." Indirectly, he gave a license. Whatever is happening right, you go ahead and do it. If anything goes wrong, I am there to help you. So it was a problem of everybody, and that frenzy of 20 years change the psychology, change the allocation process. So the whole system had become to a certain extent corrupt. So I won't put the problem with the finance professionals. It was the problem with the broader system, not only the financial system, it was the problem with the broader system. There was problems how private sector interacted with government sector without any regulations. Just to draw an analogy right now, so a lot of the scams which are going on, let's say 2G scam which is undisputed, there is a disputed current scam of 4 years. Everything is a major interaction in government and the private sector. If that is not regulated, it will lead to crisis. In fact, I'll go one step back. What is happening right now? Some people say because of this crisis, our growth rate has slowed down. I think it's fair. Let the growth rate slow down and let the system become more clean. And I think as in future, as the level of education increases, as the level of with a free place, more and more such nexus will come to public, and the system will be cleaner, but the process will remain very slow and painful. But the future is definitely whatever is happening for the future is not bad.
It's two straight actually answers to your question. Finance is complex. Okay, so it has to be because the global trade enterprises are different, so you have to have complex system. That's not, please not, and I hope that person who said was not a finance professional, I don't know. Second, finance professionals are not complex. Generally, they have tended to be, let's call it smarter, and that has nothing to do with it except that there is a self-selection which has happened over the years. This is an industry which was paying more. So as I mentioned of over-allocation of capital, society has allocated more capital, social and intellectual capital to this industry. So it is, I think, axiomatic what has happened. And over a period of time, the incentives for this industry decrease relative to other industries. And it will happen. The pay differentials in the finance industry versus non-finance in US, which is a very large market, dramatically increased in the last decade. And that is now coming down. So you will see, as I said, intellectual capital going to other industries. You had, very sophisticated, people who used to do sophisticated statistical modeling and PhDs in that actually worked for Wall Street firms, predicting stock price movements and correlation. So this industry had sucked more intellectual capital than probably its fair share. So people are not complex. Finance, business definitely is, no questions about it.
Good afternoon, sir. This question is to Srinivasan. In the morning session, you had mentioned about Basel III, and you said that there is increase in capital requirements from Basel II to Basel III post the economic crisis. But don't you think that it focuses more on the quality of capital than quantity of capital?
No, actually it does both. It's just that they are now getting, it's a pretty tedious topic, but essentially what Basel III is trying to do is to look at, what they call both the quality and the quantity of capital. The basic objective of the Basel III and the arcane norms which you will see is you need to allocate more capital against businesses which you are not allocating earlier. Okay, so in banks there are various forms of businesses. The purest one or the traditional one being a loan which you give out. So when you're giving out a loan, what are you doing is you ask the borrower to say, okay, you pay 30% equity, and the bank gives 70%. Now, whatever bank is giving against that, depending on the riskiness of the loan, RBI has a lot of what we call as risk weights. So if we're giving a home loan, the risk weight is less. If we're giving a different loan, the risk weight is higher. The whole objective was to essentially ensure that the banks are, let's call it incentivized or parameterized to hold enough capital for different forms of risk. What Basel III essentially is trying to do is basically not take that up. One of the reasons why you had most of the crisis, so let me give you a very stark example, and I'm simplifying things. The leverage of Lehman, I think, on the day of crisis, the financial leverage was, I think, 43 or 44 times, broadly, if not more than that. Now, so what is happening? So essentially, if you have a leverage of that, if you make even 1% error in your financial decisions, basically there is zero capital. Think about a bank in that manner. If a bank has 30% equity, essentially it means that bank can afford to go wrong on shade less than 1/3 of their finance decision and it will still survive. That's essentially what a bank is. Now, the more you start taking leverage and the leverage gets hidden into various exotic products on which you fail to realize the correlation, you are essentially holding less capital. And that gets, so to say, becomes very stark on the, as it happened for Lehman, that he was essentially borrowing on overnight markets. That's what Lehman used to do. He used to borrow on overnight markets and lend long. One fine morning, the people who were giving Lehman money said, I'm not going to give you money. Give me back the money, which Lehman did not have. So that's what I said, that what Basel III is trying to do is to incentivize in a manner that is appropriate to the banks. By the way, if you look at the basic analysis of Basel III from all the equity markets, what it does is it reduces the ROEs for all the banks. The reason ROE in the bank comes down is because you will have to have lower leverage and hold more equity capital. For a regulator, that is how you disincentivize people. So that's what essentially Basel III does. And then, people have obviously make it complex to talk about various types of capital, but you need to hold the purest form of risk capital, which is equity capital. Basel III is clear on that.
As per a recent study, I was going through one newspaper. If India complies with the Basel III requirement in the next 10 years, Indian banking system needs 5 lakh crores of rupees, both equity and non-equity capital. The public sector banks, maybe around 424 lakhs, 20,000 crores, and around 75,000 crores of the private sector banks will require. So, I really doubt if regarding the quality of capital. Quantity is okay, but if in a very short time period, if high tax core capital is injected in the system, and if the quality is not checked, then probably this will lead to a further crisis in future.